So now we shall move forward. Our second speaker of this evening is someone really special and one of our ISKCON pioneer. His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj. His Holiness Giriraj Swami was born as Glenn Philip Tetton, the only son of a respected Chicago lawyer who was later appointed judge. In March of 1969, while studying in university in Boston, he met with His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, from whom he felt more in one brief exchange than he had learned as in his many years of academic education. After graduating from Vrndavana-dasa in July of the year, he accepted formal initiation from Srila Prabhupada and he received the name of Giriraj-dasa. Giriraj-dasa quickly became a leading member of the Boston Center, and he was soon given the opportunity to go to India with Srila Prabhupada and help establish Srila Prabhupada's mission there. In 1972, he was appointed by Srila Prabhupada to be president of ISKCON Bombay and trustees of the Bhaktivedanta Book Trust. And he subsequently oversaw all aspects of the development of the Hare Krishna land in Juhu, Bombay. In the year following Srila Prabhupada's departure in 1977, Giriraj Maharaj was awarded the Renounced Order of Life and appointed president of ISKCON Board of Trustees in India. In 1982, he was appointed to ISKCON Governing Body Commission, and he went on to oversee the society activities in Bombay, Mauritius, South Africa, Spain, Portugal, Sri Lanka, and Pakistan. He was instrumental in the acquisition and development of Bhaktivedanta Ashram in Govardhan and led the development of the Kirtan Ashram for women, the Bhaktivedanta Hospice, and the Vrndavana Institute of Palliative Care, all in Vrindavan. He has also taught at the Vrndavana Institute for Higher Education and continues to lecture and to give presentation at Japa retreats and workshops worldwide. Throughout his effort, Giriraj Maharaj has become renowned for the austerities he has accepted, his loyalty and dedication to Srila Prabhupada's mission, his ability to raise funds and cultivate important members of society, and his care for devotees around the world. Based in Carpinteria, California, he is presently focusing on one of the main personal instructions he received from Srila Prabhupada, and that is to write. And he is working on several projects, including books about his search for a spiritual master and his early days in Boston Temple, a set of books on Vaisnava holidays. He edited Life Final Exam, Death and Die, which is a book on death and dying from the Vedic perspective. And he's also the author of Watering the Seed, which is the teaching of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, and also many moods. And the book state it is a reflection on deported Vaishnavas. He also wrote a book which is I'll Build a Temple, which is a Juhu story. And today, devotees, all together, we seize our opportunity to share very good news with you all, a very good and special and inspiring news with you all, because His Holiness Giriraj Swami is about to launch his new book, and the title is being passed out today for the first time. And his new book is The Dancing White Elephant, and where Maharaj is stating his story when traveling with Srila Prabhupada in August 1970 until March 1972, which will be released very soon, which we are all awaiting to have our copy where we can read this beautiful and enchanting pastime. we are very happy to have you with us, Maharaj, and we would like to invite a Kamita Prabhu from Nairobi to come forward for the garland offering. And the topic Maharaj will be talking about today is avoiding Vaishnava pride. And also, Kamita Prabhu, you can come forward for the garland offering.
Hare Krishna, Giriraj Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. We were fortunate to get the association of your dear disciple, His Holiness Bhakti Prihad Bhagwati Maharaj, and as a reciprocation from ISKCON Nairobi, we present these two garlands from Jagannath and Sudarshan Chakra from ISKCON Nairobi. Hare Krishna.
Hi.
Maharaj ki
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj. You can start the lecture. The topic is avoiding Vaishnava pride. And of course, devotees later, Maharaj will be taking questions. You can always raise your virtual hand to ask question directly to Maharaj, or you can have it in the chat box. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I will begin by singing the Mangalacharna prayers and leading a short kirtan. And then we will speak about a little about Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakura, and then the main topic of avoiding Vaishnava Aparadha. Shri Guru Shri Padakamalam Shri Vaishnava Shri Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Krishna Krishnaya Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Srila Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Stotra Satasri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kunda Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Dham Ki Jai. Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki Jai. Samveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Glories to Srila Prabhupada. So to begin, I will speak a little about Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, whose disappearance day we are observing and commemorating. And then I will speak about avoiding Vaisnava Aparadha. So, today is Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's disappearance day. Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi 1155 states, quote, Srila Vyasadeva describes the pastimes of Krishna in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vyas of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was Vrndavana-dasa. In his purport, Srila Prabhupada elaborates, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur was an incarnation of Vyasadeva and also a friendly cowherd boy named Kusumapida in Krishna Lila. In other words, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, the son of Srivas Thakur's niece, Narayani, was a combined incarnation of Vedavyas and the cowherd boy, Kusumapida, end quote. And Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur was the last initiated disciple of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 8:33 to 40, 42, and 44, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami glorifies Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur and his book Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, then called Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Quote, O fools, just read Sri Chaitanya Mangala. By reading this book, you can understand all the glories of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thakur Vrndavana-dasa has composed Sri Chaitanya Mangala. Hearing this book annihilates all misfortune. By reading Sri Chaitanya Mangala, one can understand all the glories and truths of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda and come to the ultimate conclusion of devotional service to Lord Krishna. In Sri Chaitanya Mangala, later known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has given the conclusion and essence of devotional service by quoting the authoritative statements of Srimad Bhagavatam. Even if a great atheist hears Sri Chaitanya Mangala, he immediately becomes a great devotee. The subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has personally spoken through the writings of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. I offer millions of obeisances unto the lotus feet of Vrndavana-dasa Thakura. No one else could write such a wonderful book for the deliverance of all fallen souls. What a wonderful description he has given of the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Anyone in the three worlds who hears it is purified. Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has written Sri Chaitanya Mangala, and therein described in all respects the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. That is Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami's appreciation and glorification of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. In his purport to text 45, Srila Prabhupada writes, quote, Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur's Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat was originally entitled Sri Chaitanya Mangala. But when Srila Lochan Das Thakur later wrote another book named Sri Chaitanya Mangala, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur changed the name of his own book, which is now therefore known as Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. The life of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very elaborately described in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has already informed us that in his Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, he has described whatever Vrndavana-dasa Thakur has not mentioned. This acceptance of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami indicates his acceptance of the disciplic succession. A writer of transcendental literature never tries to surpass the previous acharyas. And Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport to text 48, the subject matter of this book is so sublime that it appears that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken through the writings of Sri Vrndavana-dasa Thakur. That's the text. And in his purport, Srila Prabhupada explains, the secret in a devotee's writing is that when he writes about the pastimes of the Lord helps him. He does not write himself. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10:10, Didami buddhi yogam tam yena mam upayantite. Since a devotee writes in service to the Lord from within gives him so much intelligence that he sits down near the Lord and goes on writing books. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami confirms that what Vrndavana-dasa Thakur wrote was actually spoken by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that Vrndavana-dasa simply repeated it. So, my dear devotees, how blessed we are to receive knowledge of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through our glorious parampara and to be engaged in their service. So now we will come to today's topic, avoiding Vaisnava Aparadha. And in order to do so, we have to understand, one, who is a Vaishnava, and two, what constitutes an offense or aparadha. And in discussing this topic, I will refer to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's discussion in Sri Harinam Chintamani. And I might add that although Jagai and Madhai were so sinful and had so many bad qualities, they did have one redeeming quality, and that is that they never blasphemed Vaishnavas. And that helped them in their success in being delivered by the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So the first offense against the holy name is known as sadhu ninda, criticism of Vaishnavas, and is very harmful for those wanting to progress in spiritual life. So let us first define what a sadhu or Vaishnava is. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna enumerates to Uddhava the characteristics of a sadhu. And many of you may be familiar with the 26 qualities of a Vaishnava. So these are the characteristics that Krishna enumerates to Uddhava in the 11th canto. Dayalu, merciful. And we also should check ourselves to see to what extent we exemplify these qualities, and to what extent we need to work on them. So first, Dayalu, merciful. Sahishnu, tolerant. Sama, equal. Joda Sunya Vata, penance without injury to the body. Satyasar, truthfulness. Vishuddhatma, purified. Praharta Rata, engaged in the welfare of mankind. Kame Akshubhita Buddhi, intelligence free from lust. Danta, restrained. Akinchana, devoid of the concept of ownership. Mridu, gentle. Suchi, clean. Parimita Bhoji, regulated in eating and other habits. Shantaman, peaceful. Aniha, apathetic to materialism. Dhriman, patience. Stira, steadiness. Apramata, attentive, alert. Sugambhira, very grave. Vijita Sadguna, conquering over the 6 gunas, hunger, thirst, lamentation, envy, old age, and death. Amani, not expecting honor from others. Manada, giving respect to others. Daksha, expert. Avanshaka, non-hypocritical. And Gyani, knowledgeable of the scriptures. By these characteristics, one can know who is a sadhu. However, there are 2 types of characteristics, namely principal and marginal. The principal characteristic is exclusive surrender to Krishna. It's Krishna Kasharna. Whereas all other qualities are dependent on it. By some good fortune, one may get the association of Vaishnavas and then attain a taste for the name, chant the name, and take shelter of Krishna's lotus feet. This becomes the chief characteristic. And by continuing to chant the name, all the other characteristics make their appearance. Therefore, they are called marginal or accompanying. Though secondary to the principal characteristics, they will certainly appear in the body of a true Vaishnava or sadhu as an effect of proper chanting of the holy name. So in determining who is a sadhu or a Vaishnava, we have to look for the primary characteristic, which is Krishna Sharanam, having taken a full shelter of Krishna. On the other hand, the status of Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi, Sudra, Kshatriya, Sudra, Vaishya, Kshatriya, and Brahman of the Varnashram system, and their respective habits and qualities are external distinctions that in no way determine who is a sadhu. So yes, according to a person's position in Varnashram Dharma, he may manifest different qualities as appropriate for his Varna or ashram. But these respective habits and qualities are external distinctions, which in no way determine who is a sadhu. The chief characteristic of a sadhu is his complete surrender to Krishna, which is not dependent on a certain varna or ashram. In other words, it doesn't really matter what your varna or ashram is, but you're considered a sadhu or a Vaishnava if you have the qualification of complete surrender to Krishna, Krishna Kasharana. Through the example of Vrndavana-dasa, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught how the Grihastha Vaishnava should act. The married man should enter household life with a mind steadily fixed on service to Krishna, not enamored by sense gratification. And in this way, the householder can gradually cross the ocean of material existence. Instead of playing as a false renunciate, Markata Vairagi. Markata Vairagi means the renunciation of a monkey. And Srila Prabhupada comments that monkeys appear to be very renounced because they don't wear any clothes, they just eat fruits that are available in the forest. But every monkey has 24 girlfriends. So, yeah, Markata Vairagi. So instead of playing as a false renunciate, Markata Vairagi, enjoying with the senses in the cloth of a sannyasi, it is better to take only those things necessary for survival in the material world while cultivating non-attachment. So one of our most important principles in devotional service, as enunciated by Srila Rupa Goswami, is Yukta Vairagya, which means appropriate renunciation. And the beginning of the definition is anasaktasya vishayan. It means without being attached to the objects of the senses. Anasaktasya vishayan. And then nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, seeing everything in relationship to Krishna, how things can be used in the service of Krishna. Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe, yukta vairagya uchate. That is said to be appropriate renunciation. So, instead of playing as a false renunciate, markata vairagi, enjoying with the senses in the cloth of a sannyasi, it is better to take only those things necessary for survival in the material world while cultivating non-attachment. One should always be internally fixed on Krishna, although externally one may act according to one's social custom and varna and ashram. Krishna quickly delivers such a grihastha Vaishnava. When Vrndavana-dasa gave up household life, the Lord gave him instruction on the life of renunciation. Quote, one should neither listen to materialistic conversations nor speak materialistic topics to others. One should not eat fancy food or wear fancy clothing. One should always chant the holy name, respecting all, without expecting honor, and meditate on eternal service to Radha and Krishna in Vraja in one's mind. End quote. The principal characteristic is one, namely surrender to Krishna's name, which is non-different from Krishna, which will prevail in all sadhus, no matter what varna or ashram, grihastha or sannyasi. However, according to ashram or varna, the secondary characteristics will differ to some degree. And even if there, and this is a very important point, my dear devotees, and even if there appears some bad element or fault in a person, if he has the chief characteristic, surrender to Krishna, he must be considered a sadhu and be respected and served by all. This is Krishna's statement in the Bhagavad Gita. Yes, apichat sudaracharo bhajate mam ananyava. Sadhu eva samantavya. That even if one is found to be engaged in the most abominable activity, still is to be considered a sadhu or saintly because he is situated in devotional service. So yes, this is Krishna's statement in Bhagavad Gita. When one has developed a taste for chanting the pure name, it is said that chanting just one time will destroy the influence of all past sins. Some remnants of those sins may still remain, but they will be completely vanquished by the influence of the holy name. Since those traces of sin will go quickly, that person is known as the most righteous person. Of course, if a materialist sees those traces of sin in a Vaishnava sadhu, he may consider that the sadhu is just like a materialistic sinner. If he should criticize the sadhu because the sadhu has a trace of sin coming from previous sinful activities, he is committing sadhu ninda. is to be considered a rascal because of his fault of criticizing a Vaishnava. And by this nam aparadha, thence unto one who has surrendered to the name, he falls directly under the wrath of Krishna. So my dear devotees, we should be very careful that even if there are some traces of sin in a devotee or a sadhu, we should not criticize the sadhu, because in due course, soon enough, those traces of sin will also be eradicated by the process of surrender to Krishna and Krishna's holy name. It is concluded that one who is solely devoted to Krishna and sings his name is known as a sadhu. Other than the devotees of Krishna, no one else is considered a sadhu. But one who considers himself a sadhu is filled with materialistic pride. Whereas one who humbly thinks himself to be the lowest rascal humbly takes shelter of Krishna and sings Krishna's name is a real sadhu. Knowing himself to be less than a blade of grass, considering himself like a tree of tolerance, not expecting honor for himself and giving honor to all other living entities, he chants the holy name and attains attraction for Krishna. Of course, here, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is paraphrasing Lord Chaitanya's instruction in the Shikshastika, verse 3. Chinadapi sunichena, Rarapi sahishuna, Amanina manadena, Kirtaniya sadahari. If a person of the above qualities chants the holy name even once, he is considered a Vaishnava and should be respected. The Vaishnava is the friend and spiritual leader of the universe. He is an ocean of mercy to all living entities. Yes. Panchakalpatrubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Whoever criticizes such a Vaishnava goes to hell birth after birth. For there is no path for real liberation other than bhakti, and bhakti is obtained only by the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So I find it very purifying to be reading this, reading it and discussing it. In the pure Vaishnava resides Krishna's energies of bhakti, Hladini and Samvit. Yes, bhakti is composed of these two energies, Hladini, which is the pleasure potency, and Samvit, which is the knowledge potency. Thus, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can also receive Krishna Bhakti. Yes, it is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhakti, that Bhakti comes from Bhakti, and one can get Bhakti from the Bhakti within the heart of a Bhakta. Bhaktya Sanjatya Bhakti. Thus, by contacting a Vaishnava, one can also receive Krishna Bhakti. For this reason also, the food remnants the foot water, and the foot dust from the pure devotee are three powerful articles for creating bhakti, as this is also stated in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, very beautiful. Bhaktapada Duli, that means the dust from the lotus feet of a devotee. Bhaktapada Jal, the water that has washed the feet of a pure devotee. Bhaktapada Duli, Bhaktapada Jal. Bhakta Utishta, and that means the food remnants of a Vaishnava team. These three are very powerful substances for creating bhakti. If one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy within one's heart, after having developed strong faith, bhakti will develop in one's body. Bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. Thus, by living close to a Vaishnava, soon devotion will appear in one's heart. Now, we also have to be careful. Living close to a Vaishnava is an extremely powerful process to develop bhakti. But we also have to be careful because, as Srila Prabhupada said, sometimes familiarity breeds contempt. And some of Srila Prabhupada's personal servants, by too much close association, began to see Srila Prabhupada in mundane ways. So that's also a consideration of which we have to be mindful and careful. But in principle, if one stays near a pure Vaishnava for some time, one can receive the bhakti energy flowing from his body. If one can bind that energy within one's heart, after having developed strong faith, bhakti will develop and one's body will begin to tremble in ecstasy. Thus, by living close to a Vaishnava, soon devotion will appear in one's heart. First, such a person will begin chanting the holy name, and then, by the power of the name, he will receive all good qualities. This is the particular power of the Uttama Adhikari. And the next point is very important, my dear devotees. A Vaishnava may be criticized on 4 accounts: his caste by birth, previous sins or faults in this life, an unpremeditated accidental act of sin, and present traces of previous sinful activities. Though all these conditions may be present in a Vaishnava, they are insubstantial grounds for criticism of a Vaishnava. So I'll just repeat that list so you can be mindful not to find fault with the devotee on account of these 4 elements. His caste by birth, previous sins or faults in this life, an unpremeditated accidental act of sin, and present traces of previous sinful activity. Though all these conditions may be present in a Vaishnava, they are insubstantial grounds for criticism of a Vaishnava. One who so blasphemes a Vaishnava will be punished by Yamaraj, because the Vaishnava is spreading the glories of the holy name. The Lord does not tolerate such criticism of a Vaishnava. Giving up dharma, yoga, sacrifice, and jnana for the name of Krishna. The Vaishnava is the topmost person. Criticism is a serious offense. Furthermore, he does not criticize the scriptures or the demigods, but simply takes shelter of the name. One should rather eagerly take the dust from the feet of a Vaishnava, regardless of whether he is a grihasta or sannyasi. One will treat him only according to his advancement as a Vaishnava, which is based upon the degree of attraction to the holy name. Such things as ashram, wealth, learning, youthfulness, beauty, strength, or numbers of followers are not factors. So the only real consideration is his advancement in Krishna consciousness, which is based on his attraction to the holy name. It goes without saying that one who has taken shelter of the name will not indulge in sadhu ninda. One who criticizes a sadhu is not situated in bhakti, but in aparadha against bhakti. A serious person, therefore, would not indulge in criticism, but associate with, hear from, and serve the sadhu. Sorry. Because association, and this is a very important point, my dear devotees, because association with those who are not devotees is bound to produce disrespect for devotees, sadhu ninda. The devotee is careful to avoid such association. Materialistic association or asat sangha is of two types: association with women and those who are devoid of devotion to the Lord. And this is, again, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur here is paraphrasing Lord Chaitanya's instruction. Asat sang tyaga e Vaishnavachar, the behavior of a Vaishnava. Asat sanga tyaga is that he gives up association with the asat. Asat sanga tyaga e Vaishnavachar. Stri sangi eka sadhu. So one type of non-devotee is one who associates with women for sense gratification. Or I should say one type of association that we should avoid is someone who associates with women for sense gratification, and the other is one who's not a devotee, Asat sang tyaga e Vaishnavachar, Sri sangi eka sadhu, Krishna bhakta, abhakta, means not a devotee, Krishna bhakta. So this Sri Sangi, this association with women, which is not authorized by scripture, is divided into association with women outside of marriage for the purpose of sex, and association within marriage where one is controlled by one's wife. Thus, only if one is married according to prescribed rules and is following the rules for married life, in which the wife is submissive to the husband and the husband acts as a sadhu, is the association considered bona fide? Other types of association are considered asat. The second type of association, asat association, is association with non-devotees. And that is of three types. It's also very important. Lord Chaitanya said, Asat Samtyaga E Vaishnavachar Stri Sangi Ekasadu Krishna Bhakta are. So what are the three types of abhaktas, of non-devotees? 1, Mayavadis. 2, pretenders. And 3, atheists. Mayavadis believe that the Lord and the jivas are both temporary entities, and that the Lord's murti form is material. The pretenders, so that's the first type, the Mayavadis, and the pretenders, though without genuine devotion or renunciation, pretend to be devotees to make a living. And the third category, the atheists, do not believe in any form of God. Now, these people may claim to be devotees and may be accepted by the public as devotees. But if one rejects such people, it is not considered sadhuninda. Furthermore, one who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people should also be rejected and avoided. So, every day in Juhu, Srila Prabhupada would go for his morning walk on Juhu Beach. And every morning, or almost every morning, he would be accompanied by Dr. C.P. Patel. And Srila Prabhupada's morning walks with Dr. Patel are quite famous and also instructive. And Dr. Patel would often bring up, so-called spiritual leaders of India. And Srila Prabhupada would apply the standards given in the Bhagavad Gita. And if he found that the so-called sadhu was not up to the standard, he would say so, frankly. And sometimes Dr. Patel would become upset. And once in particular, things came to a head when Srila Prabhupada criticized a so-called spiritual leader of India, for whom Dr. Patel had a lot of respect. And Srila Prabhupada and Dr. Patel were arguing. In fact, they were shouting at each other. And Dr. Patel had his cronies who accompanied him. And even they were telling him, don't argue with Swamiji. He has a heart condition. But they were really like, boxers in a boxing ring, attacking each other. And eventually, Dr. Patel's friends got him away from Srila Prabhupada. So, of course, Srila Prabhupada was very merciful. That's another point, because when Tamal Krishna Goswami suggested that Dr. Patel is so offensive, why do you tolerate him. And then Srila Prabhupada said, you know, our duty is to engage everyone. But coming back to this point, one who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people, like Srila Prabhupada did, and he was sometimes, you could say, criticized for it by Dr. Patel. One who criticizes a person who gives up these asat people should also be rejected and avoided. Therefore, the serious devotee who gives up asat sangha, which causes sadhu ninda, and exclusively takes shelter in the name, will certainly receive the treasure of prema. It may be absorbed that in order to proceed properly to prema, one must be able to distinguish the devotee from the non-devotee. For one must avoid the aparadha of criticizing the devotee and seek his association, and simultaneously reject the non-devotee's association completely. Of course, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in other places comments that, you know, in one's workplace, one may naturally have some interaction with non-devotees, and that is not considered an offense or a deviation. But one should not take their advice, take the advice of non-devotees on spiritual matters. But casually, one at work or at school, one may have to interact with them, and that's okay. One must furthermore be able to distinguish the types of Vaishnavas according to their spiritual advancement. There are three types: the materialistic Vaishnava or Vaishnava Praya, almost a Vaishnava, is he who has mediocre faith in Krishna, but has no service attitude towards sadhus. It's like a Kanista Adhikari. Actually, such a person is not a Vaishnava, but the dim image of a Vaishnava, Vaishnava Abbas. However, if he is not a Vaishnava, how will he be permitted to associate with Vaishnavas who do not associate with non-Vaishnavas? Therefore, this person is considered to be at the beginning stage of a Vaishnava, Kanista Vaishnava, upon whom the actual fixed-up Vaishnavas will bestow their mercy so that he becomes purified. The next higher stage of Vaishnava is the Madhyam Bhakta, who can recognize the importance of the Lord's devotees and thus always associates with them. In faith, he is convinced of Krishna's position as the Lord, the jivas as his eternal servants, the process as bhakti, and the goal as prema. He shows mercy to the innocent who have a little faith, the Kanista Bhaktas, by giving them sambandha gyan. And he avoids the enemies, asatsanga, understanding the different effects of the different types of association. So yes, it's said about the Madhyam Bhakta in Srimad Bhagavatam, prema maitri kripa upeksha. Prema, he gives his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Maitri, he makes a friendship with devotees. Kripa, he gives mercy to the innocent by preaching to them. And upeksha, he neglects the envious. So he shows mercy to the innocent, those who have a little faith, the Kanista Adhikaris, by giving them some Sambandha Gyan. And he avoids the enemies, asatsanga, understanding the different effects of the different types of association. Even at the stage of Madhyama Bhakta, one is considered a pure Vaishnava, with the qualification of tasting the real holy name, not Nam Abbas. As a real Vaishnava is able to distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava, so that he may avoid asat sangha and sadhu ninda and serve the advanced devotees. He must do this for his own advancement. He who experiences Krishna as the life and soul of everything, and who sees Krishna situated in everything, and consequently does not make distinction between Vaishnava and non-Vaishnava, but simply engages in relishing the nectar of the holy name, is called the Uttama Vaishnava, the most advanced devotee. That's Mahabhagavat. He sees that everyone is serving Krishna, and therefore there's no need to preach. And the Mahabhagavata, or the Uttama Vaishnava, you could say, adopts the mood of the Madhyam Vaishnava when he comes to preach. Being overcome with the material modes, if one commits the offense of blasphemy against a devotee, one should sincerely feel repentant and cry at the feet of the devotee for mercy and forgiveness. The devotee, who is by nature very merciful, will forgive the offender. So, my dear devotees, I've taken a little longer than was allotted to me, but I hope you will forgive me. And now, according to the schedule, there should be questions and answers. So if any of you have any questions or comments or reflections, please raise your hand, your physical hand or your virtual hand, and we'll spend up to maybe 10 minutes with questions and answers.
Okay, Krishna, thank you, Maharaj. We already have our first question from the Vrndavana-dasa Prabhu. Can I ask your question, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, last, please speak.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj, you mentioned about the Apiched Suracharo verse. So no matter whatever sinful activity one may perform, then he can still be considered a sadhu. But sometimes this verse can also be misused. So how can we properly apply this verse? Like sometimes a devotee may do something wrong and put this verse like an excuse. So how can we apply this verse properly?
Yeah, well, that's sort of like the offense of committing sin on the strength of chanting. That verse, Apiched Suracharo, refers to an accidental fall down. But if one wants to deliberately take advantage of the verse and intentionally engages in sinful activities, it's very offensive. It's just like committing sin on the strength of chanting. So that is not the idea. But, as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport to that verse, sometimes one's constitutional duties and one's, as you could say, societal duties run parallel to each other, and then sometimes they become opposed to each other. And Srila Prabhupada says the devotee is always careful to maintain a healthy equilibrium. So that's really how we should proceed.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, good question.
Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. And now we have Jananda Prabhu. Kindly unmute yourself for your question, Prabhu. Jananda Prabhu.
Yes, Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Please accept my humble obeisances. Just for you to speak, Maharaj.
Jai.
So, my question is regarding, you mentioned that there are 3 things that a devotee can do so that he can accelerate his devotional practice. You mentioned that we can take the dust of the lotus feet of the senior devotee. Now, we see that sometimes when a sannyasi is giving lecture at the temple, and just outside the temple, there's a slipper of the sannyasi. So devotees, they come and they take the slipper and they put on their head. So is it the proper way to take the dust from the lotus feet, or there is something else that we have to do?
That could work. Yeah, I mean, generally a Vaishnava, being humble, will not want people to touch his feet or take the dust of his feet. So one may have to do it in a somewhat indirect or sneaky way. And I think that is okay.
Yeah. Okay, Maharaj. And
But let me read the verse because it's so beautiful. I mean, I've been quoting it, but so this is, as I meant, it's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya Lila, chapter 16, text 60. Bhakta Paraduli ara Bhakta Parajal, Bhakta Bhukta Avashesha, Teen Mahabhav. The dust of the feet of a devotee, the water that has washed the feet of a devotee, and the remnants of food left by a devotee are 3 very powerful substances. And then the next verse, text 61, Etinas Seva Haite Krishna Premahaya, Puna Puna Sarva Shastre Pukariya Kaya. By rendering service to these 3, one attains the supreme goal of ecstatic love for Krishna. In all the revealed scriptures, this is loudly declared again and again. In text 62, Tate Bara Bara Kadi Suni Bhaktagana, Vishvasa Karya Ekara Etina Sevana. Therefore, my dear devotees, please hear from me, for I insist again and again. Please keep faith in these 3 and render service to them without hesitation. Text 63. Tina Haite Krishna Nama Premera Ulasa, Krishnera Prasada Tate Sakshi Kalidasa. From these 3, one achieves the highest goal of life, ecstatic love of Krishna. This is the great mercy of Lord Krishna. The evidence of this is Kalidas himself. And we won't discuss Kalidas, but he had faith in these. And anyway, we won't discuss him. But yes, this is the point about these 3 substances, 3 powerful substances.
yes, thank you, Maharaj. And I have one more question, Maharaj.
Okay.
Generally, when a person is prone to get a disease, he will be having some like sign and symptoms, and through that symptoms or signs, we can say that in 2 days or 3 days he will be becoming sick. So now coming to the Vaisnava Aparadha, are there any signs and symptoms that we can detect prior to committing Vaisnava Aparadha? Like a warning sign we can detect?
Yeah. Well, most offenses begin in the mind. I mean, they do. They begin in the mind. And then they become expressed through words. So if one finds oneself thinking negatively about Vaishnavas, finding faults in Vaishnavas, then one should be careful, because that mental offense can become a vocal offense, which is more serious. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also says that with the same tongue that one used to blaspheme a Vaishnava, one should glorify the Vaishnava. So that is the way to, you could say, counteract the offense of blasphemy. With the same tongue that you use to blaspheme the Vaishnava, you should glorify the Vaishnava. And as a practice, we should appreciate Vaishnavas and praise Vaishnavas, and that will protect us from sadhu ninda or Vaishnava aparadha.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you, Jan and Dr. Wu. And the next one is Pooja Anand. You can kindly ask your question, please.
Unmute. Okay. Hare Krishna, Maharaj. Thank you so much for this beautiful lecture. Maharaj, you mentioned that exclusive surrender to Krishna is ultimate, which is, of course, so true. But at the same time, it comes to my mind that we've heard things like Vaishnavamscha yatha Shambhu from Srimad Bhagavatam. So, and at the same time, okay, let me be honest. I'm coming from my own example, my own thing that, lately I have started to recite Shri Radha Kripa Katakshakam every day from March, early March. And then there's so much gratitude that I feel for Lord Shambhu, because every time I would go for a bath in Radha Kund, I would first say my gratitude and prayers to Lord Shambhu because those verses were, those 12 beautiful verses are given to us by him. But now I am beginning to see that in my last 18 years of practice in Krishna consciousness, I did not really have any gratitude for Lord Shiva, but now every morning in my morning sadhana, I say that. So where do you draw the line? Like, how far can you go? Or do you just, so my fear is that I should not incline so much. I mean, of course, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I know, but this push and pull, just trying to get that from you, guidance.
Yes, what you quoted is correct. Vaishnava-namyata Shambhu. Lord Shiva is the greatest of Vaishnavas, and we respect him as a Vaishnava. But we do have to be careful about how we worship Lord Shiva in front of others, because they may not understand our mood of worshiping Lord Shiva as a Vaishnava, but they might think, that Lord Shiva's on the same level as Vishnu, which would be an
Yeah.
offense. So when you say, where do you draw the line, what exactly do you mean?
Do you just stop with gratitude? Because this is what I'm at. So do you just say your gratitude prayers that, oh, Lord Shiva, thank you for giving us Radha Kripa Katashakam. And, I'm forever indebted to you and thank you so much. Or, you could recite certain prayers for Lord Shiva, specific prayers. I don't know. So that's what.
I think just expressing your gratitude is sufficient on
Sure.
ordinary occasions. I mean, on special days like Shivaratri, I mean, you can offer other prayers to him. They're beautiful prayers to Lord Shiva, appreciating him as a Vaishnava, like Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, for example. So, but I would reserve those for special occasions such as Shivaratri.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Shamaraj. I think that was all. Thank you so much for always being with us for our online program and for the important points you made today in your class, especially glorifying Vrndavana-dasa from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and to make us understand who a Vaishnava is actually, and also that how we should remain fixed in our Krishna consciousness, and the mercy that we get when staying yet ready to a Vaishnava. So we are really grateful to you for sharing so much with us today as a learning point, and of course to be applied in our spiritual life, in our daily life. We thank you so much, Maharaj, also for that special mercy of sharing your book title with all of us, which we are awaiting. I'm sure all of us here are awaiting for your book with great zeal and excitement. So thank you so much, dear Maharaj, for being with us this evening.
Joy.
Thank you.
I saw somewhere Hari Vallabhi raised her hand. I don't know what that is.
Yes.
But...
Yes, Maharaj.
Oh, I see. There she is. There she is with her hand up. Do we have time?
You can unmute yourself, Mataji.
Thank you. Sorry for the late question. I posted it on the chat, but I think doesn't. Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to you. Guru Maharaj, I have one question. When you read about Sripad Vrndavana-dasa Thakur, you mentioned that a devotee, when he's doing the service of writing, does not surpass the previous acharyas. So I would like to understand better in what way should we apply this principle if we do some sort of a writing service. And there's another question related to this, but please.
Well, the basic idea is that we should consider ourselves to be the humble servants of the previous acharyas of the parampara, and not think that we can, surpass them. As I quoted, a writer of transcendental literature never tries to surpass the previous acharyas. And we maintain that mood by considering ourselves as the humble servants of the previous acharyas, and praying for their mercy to be able to serve them through our writing in the proper mood.
Is that how you apply this when you write your books?
Yeah, I'm always praying. I'm always praying. Yeah, in fact, there's maybe I'll read it because it's very instructive and also dear to my heart. So this is like from a beautiful talk that Srila Prabhupada gave on the significance of Hanuman's being on the flag of Arjuna's chariot in the mood of a Vaishnava. So I'll read it. Quote, just as nowadays every nation has different types of flags, so Arjuna also had his flag on the chariot. The flag was on top of the chariot, and it was marked with Hanuman, Bajrangaji, who fought for Lord Ramachandra. Arjuna is fighting for Krishna, so he is following the footsteps of Bajrangaji. Vaishnavism is like that. Mahajanayena gata sapanta. The Vaishnav should follow his previous Mahajan, authority. That is Vaishnavism. In the fighting principle, Arjuna is fighting for Krishna, and he is following the previous fighting acharya, Hanumanji. Therefore, he has depicted his flag with Hanuman, that Hanumanji, Bajrangaji, kindly help me. This is Vaishnavism. I have come here to fight for Lord Krishna. You also fought for the Lord. Kindly help me. This is the idea, Kapidwaja. So in any activities of the Vaishnavas, they should always pray to the previous acharyas. Kindly help me. Vaishnava is always thinking himself helpless and begging help from the previous acharya. Just like in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you'll find the author at the end of every chapter, Sri Rupa Raghunatha Pade Yara Asa, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Kahe Krishna Dasa. In every line, he is thinking of Rupa Raghunath, previous acharyas. Let me surrender to the Goswamis and they will help me how to write. You cannot write. That is not possible. So this is Vaishnav's policy. Vaishnava Thakur Tomara Kukura Balya Janaha Mori. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has sung, my dear Vaishnav Thakur, just accept me as your dog, as the dog works by the indication of the master. He will give his life. Dog has a good qualification. However strong a dog may be, when the master orders, he will give his life. That is dog, faithful, so faithful to the master. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is praying, Vaishnava Thakura Tomara Kukura Balya Janaha Mori. My dear Vaishnav Thakur means guru. Kindly accept me as your dog. As a dog keeps watch, so I will watch so nobody will come and disturb you. And whatever little prasad you'll give me, I'll be satisfied. That is a dog's qualification. The master is eating, but the dog will never come unless the master gives a little morsel. He is satisfied. So this is Vaishnavism, to follow the previous acharya. This is Vaishnavism.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. I understood. Thank you. So in one last question. So in the past time where Vallabhacharya was writing a commentary, I forget which commentary, but Mahaprabhu was not even willing to entertain him. Was it
Yeah.
the same reason that he was not in the right mood?
Yeah. Yes, Vallabhacharya had some pride, and he declared that he had written a commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam that surpassed the commentary of Srila Sridhar Swami. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that one who is not faithful to one's Swami. So this is like a play on words, because husband is also referred to as Swami, and Sridhar Swami is also Swami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, one who is not faithful to one's Swami is a prostitute. And how can I hear from a prostitute? So yes, Vallabhacharya had that pride, and he thought he could surpass the commentary of Sridhar Swami, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rebuked him for that offense, for that pride.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, Guru Maharaj, for the clarification. So grateful to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Maharaj. We are always happy to have you with us for sharing so much, especially taking us to Srila Prabhupada first time. We are so grateful. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So are we ending now? Or is there another continuation?
So our next program, Maharaj, is we are having a drama prepared by the devotees from Brazil, one of the 15-20 minutes. And then we will have the announcement for the quiz. So, yeah. So
I think I'll take leave now. And before I do, I would like to offer Vaishnava Pranam. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who are just like desired trees who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Panchakalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubheva-cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Vrndavana-dasa Thakur ki jai.
So Nigiraj Maharaj ki jai.
His Holiness Bhakti Dear Damodar Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj, for your precious time and for your precious association. So, dearest devotees, now we keep moving on to our next item. We are very happy to announce and to watch together a drama from the Brazil.